If not, the public hearing is closed at 7:32. This is the first of the public hearings. We'll have a second one when, Andy?
September 19th.
September 19th will be our next public hearing. The proposed tax rate is 3.227. New business, consideration and action to approve a contract with John Longoria, Park Consultant for services related to the development of the Floresville Park System. Mr. Rosenberg, we have the details of the contract been worked out since our last meeting?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, qualified yes. Mr. Longoria has submitted an additional document. You have the document in front of you. I had a concern about the fact that we needed some clarity on what it was that he proposed to do, and I think this new document addresses it with several exceptions that I'd like to address. And John, if you want to come up here with me, I'd like to make this presentation as to the point as we can. The proposed presentation 2 weeks ago, right?
Last week.
Last week, okay, time passes, was for $500 worth of effort to make an assessment with the organizations that are involved in recreation, parks, and determine what we need, determine what the community organizations think their future requirements are, and to have this gentleman be the facilitator and the organizer of that effort to pull together information and make recommendations and an estimate. Okay? I had an objection last week because it looked like we were pulling in professionals to do part of the pre-contractual work for the project itself. So Mr. Longoria has come back with a document that basically has the same $9,500 in it, and it's one document, and it's got, as you'll see in front of you, 6 pages on it. And John and I talked about the fact that I was concerned that his second phase is an open-ended phase for the 10% of supervision of the professionals involved. So we have a proposal before you tonight to insert language on page 3 that will provide that the provider will be paid a fee not to exceed 10% of the total project cost amount defined by the guaranteed maximum price offered by the general contractor and approved by the city council for services to be defined. And in short, what we're trying to do is anticipate that he may have a second phase. The council may determine to do the project as he proposes it, and if it does have that second phase, 10% may be the figure that you choose to use for the purposes of being a general supervisor or a contract manager, as that term is used as a term of art. And with that change, the language substitution in paragraph, what we call phase 2, if we include that language, and we have 2 other changes I'd like to recommend to the council, and I think John concurs with this. In his standard form, there's a provision for mediation under Texas mediation statutes versus a Federal Arbitration Act, and in the present document they're consecutive. If one fails, then you go into the other. It's my preference as a professional not to have mediation on the one hand and arbitration on the other, is to make an election. And my recommendation to the council is, and I believe John concurs with it, is that we do state-based mediation and we eliminate the arbitration provision under the provisions of the document. So that section would be stricken. The last thing that would be changed in this item is to the extent authorized by law. If you look at the last page of the document, there's a mutual indemnification provision. As a public body, we can only indemnify within the terms of the Tort Claims Act. And so I'm putting the language in, or proposing that you put the language in, to the extent authorized by law, we would provide an indemnification to him for anything the city's responsible for, as he would indemnify us more generally because he's a private contractor. With those changes, and assuming those changes are made in a form that's signable, that I would recommend to you subsequent to tonight, I recommend approval of the document because it will get done what you ask him to do and allow us the opening to ultimately hire him if that comes to pass and the project goes forward. It'll also allow you the option of not hiring him, but it clearly contemplates that if his project goes forward and he's the supervising individual to be the contract general manager, that he would have that 10%. Is that fair to say?
Any discussion, council?
Where are these funds coming from? And
Will come out of our professional fees, sir.
professional fees?
And then also just for the council's information, in one of the meetings, as we started talking about this project, we did approve a bond reimbursement resolution for the Floresville Sports Complex, so that goes to them, that money can be recovered from that.
Yes, and further, Andy, the FEDC approved.
They pledged $125,000 a year for 20 years towards this project.
Okay. I know we didn't have a sign-up sheet for citizens' input, so I'll allow any comments regarding the proposed sports complex. If anybody wants to say anything about that. Any comments? Yes, ma'am?
I just
Yes,
have
sir.
a
I'm sorry.
question.
Lou, go ahead, sir. Lou?
No, I was just going to say, since we're meeting Monday night, John and I would propose to have the documents to the council Monday night in a form that's final.
Okay. Benita?
Well, if you approve it with those changes tonight, here's what my plan was, is to be back Monday just to begin to work. I'd like to come back Monday for 46, so we're not going to change anything from what he stated there. He'll just have a complete document.
What's something I can sign? Sure.
Yeah, so if you approve it tonight, I'll be back 46 to work with some of the groups, and then I'll be back again on Wednesday so I can start gathering that information. The quicker I get started. So if that happens, and just kind of let me walk you through the steps. Those are the next two steps. What we're talking about here, what you're committing to is $9,500 to facilitate that process and then to provide you the estimating services. The 10% right now, there's not a project, so it applies to nothing. 10% of nothing is nothing. So that, after the estimating has taken place and you see your menu and you define your project and you say, listen, for example, we're going to finance $2 million worth of bonds with the sales tax, and you have you get a price from a general contractor. Once you approve his price of whatever that is, if it's 1.9, if it's 2 million, it'll be 10% of that. So you can work the math. If it's 2 million, it's $200,000. Of course, you get all the other, someone's got to draw it, and engineers and so forth that I would pay to do that. So
Architectural.
that money just didn't come to me. It's paid out. Most of it is paid out to those professional fees, and then we close out the project at the end with your warranties and delivery to the project. So there's a lot of work that goes into a project like this, but all you're on the hook for right now is $9,500 to get you to a point where you can define your project. So, but if you would approve that tonight, then he'll have a final copy I can sign. It'll when I come in Monday, and that'll allow me to work. Without that signed document, then I really.
Okay. Mayor.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you want to inform Mr. Longoria that representatives from the Boys and Girls Club, the Little League, and the Wildcats were here visiting with me today on overcrowding issues at the park, and they left their information for me to pass forward to you if this got approved.
Thank you very much. I'll pay.
Benita?
Yeah, I just had one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Why is the city proceeding to do this Phase 2 10%? As he said, if it's a $2 million project, he's going to make $200,000. You haven't opened this up for any kind of bidding or any kind of search for other qualified people that you might want to utilize in
No,
this
ma'am.
project.
He would not earn $200,000.
He just said he would. He just said he would. If you had a $2 million, 10% of whatever it is, it's $1 million, it'd be $100,000.
Part of that is professional fees from architects, the construction people.
All I'm saying is if it's going to be that much money involved, you should open it up for other bids.
And what is the requirement?
Because it's $25,000 is what y'all told me last meeting.
Mayor, just Lou, go ahead. I was going to tell you, you don't bid professional services. You hire qualified, and then you negotiate a fee. That's the fee we negotiate. If you unbundle that service, then you're probably going to pay more. So as a professional service, look and tell you, you just really you hire the person you want, then you negotiate that fees, which what you authorized a couple of meetings ago when I came in and visited with the city manager to set that fee there, and then we work the language out. So there's not a bid process in the professional service.
But not one individual earned $200,000.
No.
Any other discussion, council? Now let's entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the contract with John Longoria, park consultant for services related to the development of the Floresville Park system.
Motion by Flores, second by Gomez to approve the contract with John Longoria, park consultant for services related to development of the Floresville Park system. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. There being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 7:45.